If you look over to your left, you'll see the Statue of Liberty. Please do not lean on the railings. Be aware of other passengers behind you and do not obstruct their view. We are on a boat. Lonely Island and T-Pain are not here. It's just the Wu-Tang Clan. Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy CB, the Rude Educator, here with another brief WETF review of Wu-Tang and American Saga. Now, this episode was very special to me because it all took place on the boat, and that's one of those old-time movie things that kind of shows you that they weren't working with a big budget or anything like that. This is just an easy way to kind of capture the moment. And the moment here is RZA trying to bring everybody together in the clan. And the biggest challenge that he's facing right now is the fact that he wants Power and Shy, aka Raekwon, involved. But there's this deep-seated beef between his main man D and his brother Divine. And so he figures the best way to squash everything is to bring all of them together in the same place and have a discussion with them. It seems like a good plan on paper, but as things start to reveal themselves, he starts to see that it's a lot harder than he thought it would be. Or maybe he thought it was going to be that hard, but he was not prepared for the difficulty he faced at first. But we do see him persevere in the end. So this is a good episode to me just because it just deals with these five men and their diverse personalities. Now, the Wu-Tang is known for having a number of personalities, not just these five, but it kind of shows you, at least in the beginning, how it takes a lot of maneuvering to keep all those personalities, those big personalities, in line with each other. So the whole episode starts off. It's RZA and Shy. They talking. Shy think they going to the studio because apparently RZA's lied about what his true intentions are. And so he's asking him, like, what studio we going to, and how we get this to even happen. This is dope. It's gonna be dope. He's charged up because this is what he's been trying to do. And then the next thing you know, D is on the boat, and he comes up to see what's going on, and he sees Shy. So of course they've already had their run in, and it's still pretty fresh in their minds on both sides. So when they see each other, they feel a little betrayed, especially by Bobby. Bobby is like, okay, trying to get them to stay cool, trying to get them to understand what the plan is, but they're not really trying to hear it. And so it's a whole lot of, what's this nigga doing here in the first segment. And then, it's also the idea that, okay, yeah, I had beef with this guy. You know all about that beef. You was kind of involved in that beef. So why would you even think that I was ready to work with them? And so after they kind of part ways, they both kind of cool on Bobby for a while, and they go on to other parts of the boat. They don't leave the boat. I think Dennis was trying to leave the boat, but he couldn't get off. So they didn't leave the boat. And then Divine walks up afterwards, and he's like, "Yeah, it was a risky call, but this is where we at with it. So you know what you're gonna do now." And then right before the credits roll, right before the opening credits, they show Power getting on the boat. And it's something that you kind of felt you knew was coming, but until that moment, you don't really know. And then when you do see Power, you're like, okay, so this is really about putting everything on the table and getting everybody to move as one. And it's really commendable for Bobby to have that vision, to know that he needs to do that. So it's interesting to see how that all comes together. How he's basically spending his whole day but this whole time on this boat, chasing his brothers around. Now the interesting thing is that the boat ride is exactly an hour. Okay, so you got 30 minutes to go from Staten to Manhattan. The Statue of Liberty is the halfway point, and so they know when it's time to turn around. They got another half an hour, and we keep getting reminded of that, not just by the dialogue, but also by the announcer over the intercom. Keep making different types of announcements, wild announcements during the episode. So all of that adds a different type element to the show and to this episode. So some of the things that they end up talking about really is about the way that Shy came at Dee's family. He shot up their crib. They tried to say it was complicated, but that didn't really make sense. So they didn't really get a chance to talk about it in detail in the beginning. And I think that kind of, leads, anytime you don't get a chance to come to a real understanding, then all you have is a misunderstanding. And I think that's a big part of the problem. And then, of course, Power and Divine, they beef go back a little bit further because they were selling newspapers together, on the bridge back in the day. So they all childhood friends, but, Bobby is more friends with D and Shy separately than they are with each other. In fact, they, since that beef, they not cool at all. And same thing with Power and Divine. Even though they got their history, some things went down, and they weren't able to recover from that. So the fact that they all agreed to meet Bobby on this boat and talk some things out really shows how much weight Bobby holds in with each of them. Even Power, because I think Power, after the discussion he had with his boy Mook on the bus, I think Power was starting to see he needs to turn his life around. So being involved in the music business is probably a good way for him to do that. So they're on this boat, and like I said, they're just pretty much chasing each other around through the whole episode. Like once D and Shy break away from RZA, him and Divine talk, and so then it becomes a thing. Okay, so let's try to get them together. And the first conversation RZA has with Shy, he's like, man, this is some bullshit. You told me we trying to do some music, and you got this nigga on the boat. You know what I'm saying? I don't fuck with him. What's up with that? And Bobby just like, man, just trust me. Let's just get together. Everything can be cool. And he not trying to hear it. And then it's pretty much the same thing with D. Whenever you try to talk to D about it, all D want to talk about is, how they shot his house up, how they had that beef going on. And it's not processing to either of them how this is going to work out. Now, the thing about Power is Power did show up. Power is the one voice of reason between the three, because he talks to Shy and he's like, look, I showed up because Bobby had a plan. And if Bobby got a plan, that's more than most niggas got going on in the hood. So we need to at least hear him out. And off the strength of that, he gets Shy to come around and talk about things. And eventually, even though in the meantime, they both showing off the fact that they did come strapped to the meeting just in case, because they didn't know what they was walking into. Understandable. But they really willing to listen. They not there to start up nothing, and they really ready to see what RZA got in store. Meanwhile, Dennis, he moving around. He doing different things. He stopped and talked to his guy that's hustling on the ferry. He got all types of shit for sale. He got tapes for sale. He got souvenirs and some other things that reveal themselves later. But D hollers at him for a second, buys a blunt off of him when he told him he couldn't hit his joint. And he's chilling, he trying to wrap his mind around the idea that his boy got him on his boat with one of his biggest enemies. and how to reconcile that. And that's understandable. So after running around for, about half the episode, RZA sit down with Divine, and they like talking about the whole situation and how it's kind of crazy to try to get these guys to agree to anything because they from the hood. They don't understand the idea of working together, even though you got a problem with this guy, because it's all for one common cause. They're not really trying to hear that at all. But they say they're gonna give it one more chance. This nigga D peeps the fact that Shy and Power came to the meter strap. And so he chases down this boy, the guy hustling again, and buys a burn off of him. And so now he got the burner. He know that they got the burner. So now he trying to get the upper hand and take them out before they take him out, right? And before he's able to do that, Divine catches him. They have a couple of words. They don't go so well because Divine, is talking about how he was smashing his sister on the low, even though they was in business together. And they talked about a lot of different things. They talked about the fact that Power, is a guy that's of his word, regardless of how he might feel about you or the day. So they revealing small things about each other as the episode goes on. They revealing small things about the beef and why it's so deep. I think one of the biggest moments was when Power and Divine talked. They finally got a chance to sit down and talk, and they kind of forgot about their beef. You know what I'm saying? They started talking about a scam they was running back in elementary school about cheating on a test and how they was all working together to make that happen. And they was laughing and having a good time talking about those old days. And I think that once they came to an agreement, everything else kind of fell into place because Divine was able to take that energy back to Dennis and really, reconcile they petty little argument and really get Dennis to listen to what Bobby had to say. And the same thing with Power, once he really had a chance to talk to Shy and made him understand, like, yo, this nigga got a plan, so maybe we need to listen to his plan before we go off the handle over some old beef. And so they do finally get them all together on the boat. Bobby finally gets his chance to speak, and it doesn't go so hot at first because the first thing, he does get Power and Divine seem like they cool with what's going on, but D, he just can't handle it. You know what I'm saying? As soon as he start popping off, then Shy pop off. All right, now they both done threaten each other with the guns, and it's about to get out of hand. Like Divine trying to squash it, Power trying to egg it on a little bit, to be truthfully about it. But what happens is Bobby steps up. Bobby steps up and says, y'all all shut the fuck up right now. Because this is part of the problem I'm talking about. He's talking about how he chose to be on the boat because just like Noah, it's a flood coming, all right? And the flood ain't water. The flood is the game, all right? And they done played with the game. The game didn't work out for them. So he like, let's try another game. And then even though this game is rigged, he's like, together we can beat the game. Because we all chess pieces and we can move into our right roles and make this thing happen. And so what he's talking about is real. And the things that he's saying resonate. You can tell that they resonate in the eyes of those that's listening. So as they bring the meeting to a close, everybody's in agreement that this is what they need to do. And at the end of the episode, they look off the bow of the boat, and everybody seems to be in accordance, and they switch it up back to the mural. And it's a beautiful thing. I mean, one of the things about this episode is really showing how, beef, in order for there to be forward progress, you got to leave some of that old shit behind. And I think they really did a good job of getting that message across. I think they did a good job of just expressing what the main issues were with each of them and how they could, possibly come to terms with squashing it. So all in all, I feel like this episode was was one of the best so far. It only focused on these 5 main characters. There was also the guy playing the reunited melody on his violin. Can't forget about him. Can't forget about the hustle man. He pretty much had a conversation with everybody except for Power. I think he stayed away from Power because he know from the past episode, Power is a hustler and he didn't want to get out hustled by the hustler. But all in all, it was a good episode. Definitely give it a 4.5 out of 5. And that's it. Like, man, it was one of those episodes where everything just happened right there in the same place. So, it was really about the characters and them coming to terms. So, let me know what y'all think. Leave a comment, subscribe, like this video, check out some other videos, like those, make some comments, whatever. Yo, check me out on Twitter and Instagram. All the pictures, everything that you want to see over there. And I'll see y'all next time. Peace.